Welcome back. It's episode 22 of Shed2Ed, and this is our first full-blown NFL episode. I know Steve has been tracking our bets for a little while there. We're up about 13 units on the NFL bets this season, Steve-O.
Yeah, pretty much just over 13 units there on the gambling picks in the NFL. Draft has been pretty tight so far. Kind of impressed with some of your picks so far. But that's how gambling goes. Can't always be right, even if you know more. That's why I end up winning some money off you in UFC. So
winning some money this week. Let's do a quick rundown of what we got scheduled here for episode 22. Got a lot of NFL matches to cover, 10 morning games, 3 afternoon games, and a featured night game, the Ravens with the Bengals. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that one should be pretty exciting. All the Ravens games so far have been.
I was holding a solid lead in Draft Battle. Now, Steve just tightened it up big time. I'm only up $5 after your stellar performance at Dern versus Jianan last week.
Yeah, big night for me in the draft. I broke even pretty much, up most of a unit on the gambling picks, but big night for me in the draft, evening up the score a little bit.
Very tight game with the draft. I'm up $5, but both the gambling for the NFL and the MMA has been paying off for us. Is that right?
That is right. We do have a little bit of an update there. So UFC gambling has been a bit spotty from time to time. So we're up some, we're down some. So in season 3, we're kind of figuring it out here. So we're up almost 4 units so far over the last half dozen or up to 10 fight nights there. I can't remember how many now. So we're up almost 4 units in the UFC gambling. And we're up over 13 units there in the NFL through 4 weeks so far. So we're doing a lot better there in the NFL gambling. A lot more involved in that one, a lot more knowledgeable in NFL. I am anyways, rather than UFC. So hopefully we're going to keep that going. I don't have any picks for you guys today on this video here. So just make sure to follow these accounts here at Shed2Ed on Twitter and Instagram. We post them both there. I kind of finalized the NFL plays on Sunday before the NFL games kick off. So just be sure to follow the accounts there and turn on notifications if you want to see the plays as soon as they're there, just to make sure you get them in.
A lot of the bets in the NFL, I guess, would depend on roster issues, injured reserve, who's going to play the field. So you want to make sure that bet is completely up to date with all the information before you put the money on the line.
Absolutely. You want to get all the value you can with all the information you can as well. So be sure to give us a follow there and play along in their off weeks there as well. Weeks that we don't have videos coming out. You can still see our drafts, still see our picks. So this is the slate of games that we have going on there this week. We see some favorites there on the right. We see the underdogs there on the left. So we'll dive right into it. I had first pick, so I'm going to go with the heavy favorites, one of the best teams in the league right now. Buffalo Bills at home against the Steelers that just made a quarterback change last week. This one should be fun. Don't like the Steelers, of course, being a Ravens fan. Should be fun to watch the Steelers getting beaten up on by the Bills just after we blew a game to them. So
first overall for me, I took Green Bay at -8. You know, they're heavy favorites, but I get to grab that money line here at even money here on Draft Battle, so I'll ride with them. And the Bills were something like -11 or -14 this week, so you got to pick them up on the money line.
Yeah, they're -14. I think it's the first time that Steelers have been actually 14-point dogs in a long time. So the Buffalo Bills, there's a big power discrepancy between these two teams. It's very obvious why it is 1.13 there for the Bills and a -14 spread. And you know what? Even though the Giants are 3-1 there, they're frauds. They're going to be exposed soon enough. They're going through some quarterback injuries and problems there. It's going to be a neutral site there. They're playing in London, but it's going to be a mess of a game. The Giants cannot come out on top.
Did you say they were playing in London? I thought you were joking when you mentioned they were going to get a spot of tea after the game.
No, they're playing in London. It's 11 a.m. here in Newfoundland that they're going to be kicking off. So it's going to be early morning for you out there in the Ed.
Another case of Shed2Ed going international. We had Paris last month. Now we got to drop a London here at the football games. Love to see it. Second picks of the week.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers is who I was rolling with there. I can't go wrong with Tom Brady at home. And you were going all the way down the board and taking Cleveland Browns. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers going against the Falcons. This is Tom Brady, Super Bowl rematch for him taking on the Falcons. He's always done well against the Falcons. And with his off the field questions right now or his different circumstances off the field there. I think he's going to be very focused on football, and he's going to take out a lot of aggression on the Atlanta Falcon defense there. They're not going to see it coming. Looks like a lot of receivers are getting healthy finally. You get Godwin and Mike Evans, maybe Julio back there as well. And you'll see the offense start to click after they lost 2 in a row there now.
Now, a couple of things you just mentioned. Something going on with the quarterback of the Buccaneers. Is that what I've been hearing a bit of rumblings about on the news?
Yeah, people won't stop talking about Tom Brady's recent divorce or new breaking news divorce there. So we'll see how all that plays out. But I don't expect that to affect his game very much, at least negatively. He's going to be back with a vengeance. Got an easy matchup here against the Falcons, and they'll probably cover the spread. Spread's probably somewhere sitting around 10.5. They'll probably cover the spread too.
I've caught a few of the Bucs games. They've looked good. As you mentioned, the Packers lost, tough opponent. Kansas City lost, again, to tough opponents. So I think they'll be able to get it done. For me, the Cleveland Browns, you're a bit sus about my pick on this one. Definitely a weird late side pick. Part of that may be some communications. I'm fishing here and there for picks. I'm not a football aficionado. And a couple people are liking the Browns this week. So I'm going to ride with the Browns. Cleveland, let's go.
Yeah, you know what? I can see you taking the Browns spread, something like that. But the Chargers, they're a strong team. They've been having their troubles so far to get started this year. But they might be out of the injury problems that they've been having recently. Maybe they get Keenan Allen back this week. And it looks like Austin Eckler got going last week. I know they beat up on a useless Houston Texans team, but I think that they can probably go on the road and get it done in Cleveland there as well. But Cleveland is a tough spot to play in. So, this is almost a 50-50 match here. So you can't go too wrong. And Joey Bosa's out now. I mean, lost their best defensive player. So big swing coming in there.
I would definitely touch on a few points there. I took the Chargers at like +4 a few weeks back, and that hit. This is money line. We're not playing spread because you mentioned spread. And another thing, as you said, Mr. Joey is out for the Chargers. So the team's going to be a little bit weaker. So I think if the Browns do take this one, it's not going to be a blowout by any means. But I think they could just find themselves on the positive end of that score.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Next up, round 3, we got the San Francisco 49ers going to Carolina, taking on the Panthers and beating them. And we got the Minnesota Vikings at home there against Chicago. Division rivalry there. So we have Jimmy Garoppolo's second game at quarterback there now with the 49ers, still coming in, replacing Trey Lance after that injury that got him out for the whole year. So 49ers probably going to keep accelerating the offense, keep building it around Jimmy G, and get more comfortable there. George Kittle's going to be there playing tight end, probably going to be playing a lot of blocking snaps since Panthers rush so often, but he's probably going to get his works in there too. So
they're taking on the Cleveland Browns. Everyone on the internet is saying that this Baker Mayfield, that's their quarterback, right? They're saying he's trash. Is that any truth to that at all?
Yeah, he's definitely a below average quarterback, ex-Brown, so you know how that is. So I've always thought he was useless, and he's really showing it here lately. He's 1-3 there. So they only got one win, and it was a pretty lucky one. They got most of their points off of a huge long touchdown by Laviska Shenault and a defensive turnover that turned into a touchdown there as well. So that was 2/3 of their points that game. Lucky win out of that one, and that's their only one of the year. And we got 4th round coming up here now. So I decided to take Jacksonville Jaguars at home, playing against the Houston Texans. And you decided to take your New Orleans Saints, playing against the Seattle Seahawks. So Jacksonville playing well this year, surprisingly. Trevor Lawrence taking a step in his second year. They got Christian Kirk coming in, actually playing at a wide receiver 1 level. They've got a couple of different guys mixing around. They have their 2-headed running back monster going on there now with James Robinson, and they have Travis Etienne running the ball there now. So you can see the offense starting to click, getting some decent field position and passing off to the defense there now as well. They're holding their own. They've actually been pretty tight. They had a decent game against Philadelphia, one of the best offenses last week, and they even scored a defensive touchdown there as well. So you can see the Jacksonville Jaguars pick it up, and Houston Texans bottom feeders here. So an easier matchup for the Jaguars.
I grab the Saints. I like the Saints -5.5 at the spread, so I'll grab money line on that. It's going to be a tight game for sure. I think this is going to be a very, very close game.
Yeah, I do too. You got Andy Dalton there playing another week at quarterback there for the Saints, so you never really know how that one's going to go. Seattle Seahawks, they barely squeaked one out there against the Lions in a barn burner, so you can't tell if they're really going to be good or going to be bad. So maybe the Saints at home in the Superdome there, maybe they'll edge this one out and get the win for you. Next round, round 5, we have Philadelphia Eagles visiting in Arizona there to take on the Cardinals. And we have Miami Dolphins visiting the New York Jets there as well. So the Eagles have been one of the top teams in the league. And the Cardinals, they have been strange to watch. You can't tell what Kyler Murray is up to there, running around. Sometimes he makes a play. Sometimes it gets lucky and it works. And a lot of times it's just disastrous. So the Cardinals are all over the place there now. Even though they're at home, I'll still take the Eagles. Most likely going to win this matchup. The spread's probably somewhere around -6 or so. Less comfortable with the spread, but I would be okay with it just because I know the Eagles defense has also been lights out this year. #1 defense in fantasy so far as I've seen. I think they can hold down Kyler Murray and the offense that just hasn't really got it going yet. Maybe after week 6, when DeAndre Hopkins gets back, you'll see it revamped a bit. Rondale Moore only had his first game of the season last week there as well. So we'll see how that turns out.
I like watching Miami. I like cheering for Miami. I was actually confused earlier. I confused the Bucks with Miami. Let's not dwell too much on that. But I'm glad to get the Dolphins at any point in the draft. I like to cheer. Let's go Dolphins, baby.
Yeah, the Dolphins have been good. I think they would be, 1.3, 1.35 favorite odds if Tua was playing. So their quarterback is hurt, and we have the replacement coming in there at Teddy Bridgewater. He's a serviceable backup. I'm not going to lie. He might even do better than Tua if he had the whole season and off season to prepare and the offense built around him. We'll see how he does on the full week's training camp going into New York there to play against the Jets. But the Jets also have their quarterback back as well. So they have Zach Wilson back. They no longer had to worry about how elite Flacco is anymore. And their offense seems to be coming on there as well. So this one's a kind of a toss-up for me. I kind of like New York spread a little bit just with Teddy Bridgewater coming in and New York at home. But I think Miami probably has the more skilled team. They probably had the better defense there as well. So look for probably a low-scoring Miami win. And then besides that, if you pass it short, you got guys like Tyreek Hill and you got Waddle there. They can take a slant or a screen or a curl to the house from anywhere in the field. So Miami can probably still put up their points. And then we got round 6 coming up here now. Getting down to the bottom, I'm taking the Ravens. I'm looking at this mess here, and I'm more comfortable with the Ravens playing the prime time at home. Even though they're playing against the Bengals, they have some spotty history against the Bengals. I'm still more comfortable taking the Ravens to get the win out of this one. And you have the Tennessee Titans going into Washington, taking on the Commanders there. Commanders have been whatever lately there as well. So Titans dropped the bad one last week, but they're going to look to get back on track against a weak Washington team.
I would agree with you on both of those points. I knew that you were feeling iffy on the Ravens, but I know that they're your team. I was actually leaning away from them after a few picks that I was handed down. And the Commanders, exactly, whatever. So I was actually fading the Commanders as well this week. So definitely some picks, but what can you do? You're down in round 6, right?
Yeah, exactly. And watching the Ravens, I usually know when to bet on the Ravens or against the Ravens kind of thing. I played them 3 times so far out of the 4 weeks. And they're 2-0-1. They pushed against Buffalo and won the other 2 games that I bet on them. The game that I avoided, Miami Dolphins, we know how that one went. Blew a big lead and didn't obviously cover the spread or win the game. So Ravens are typically good at home and in prime time. So look for the Ravens to come out. I'm looking for a high-scoring game in this matchup. Joe Burrow, guys like Jamar Chase, they always burn the Ravens. Ravens have a very technical but not fast offense, so they do get the top blown off them a lot. And I find they're pretty bad at tackling. So you get guys like Jamar Chase able to take a screen or a slant to the house on them at least once a game. But look for the Ravens to take advantage and score their points. I think the over is only sitting at 48.5 right now. I'm going to slam the over there. I'm probably going to put that one in the Sunday picks. But if you want to get the line before it moves up to 49 or 50, go for it there now as well.
I always like the idea of slamming the over with the Ravens game. It seems to me they do let a lot of scores happen, but they can push and really make the action happen themselves. I know you're a big Lamar Jackson fan. That man can run with that ball and he can score a lot of points.
Yeah, and he does like putting up highlight reel plays on the Bengals there as well. So we'll see if he does it again this week. Titans, I was kind of leaning towards the Titans there on this one as well. You got Derrick Henry. He's always a force to be reckoned with. He heats up more as it gets into the season. So you can see him getting 100 yards and a touchdown last week there again. Washington defense, their front seven is kind of their strength, and their defensive backfield is kind of their weakness. So look for them to probably stack the box and get burned a couple of times on some play action plays, or just Derrick Henry to run all over him. Final round 7 coming up with the last couple of picks. I decided to take the Dallas Cowboys, the big dog there. And you decided to take the New England Patriots against the Detroit Lions. So I was kind of avoiding the Rams, of course, the whole time. I'm not really sure why they're 1.4 favorites. I guess we're looking into last year and their performance last year. Of course, defending Super Bowl champions at home against a Dallas Cowboys team without their starting quarterback, Dak Prescott. I guess I can see where the line is really too. But when you look at it, when you break it down, the Super Bowl hangover is real. The Rams have not been very impressive this year so far. The offensive line is probably mostly to blame for that. But the Dallas defense is real. Micah Parsons is a real defensive player of the year candidate there. And if he gets pressure on Matt Stafford, gets in his face, look for LA to drop it at home. And I'm obviously going to be playing Dallas Cowboys spread this weekend. Probably going to be putting a small one on the money line there as well, just to see how that one pans out. But, Cooper Rush has been serviceable as a backup to Dak Prescott. They have the pieces around him. They have a decent offensive line, even with Tyron Smith out. They have a couple of good receivers in CeeDee Lamb. Noah Brown's been picking it up this year. We might get Dalton Schultz back in form there now as well. And we have Gallup back in the lineup. You have the two solid running backs there in Zeke and Pollard. So Dallas minus a quarterback, I'd still take them over the Rams, especially at this line here.
Final pick, I took the Pats. My buddy Paul likes the Pats. Shouts out to Paul. Let's go New England.
Shouts out to Paul. Yeah, Detroit, their offense has been going on this year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, big breakout for him. DeAndre Swift's been good. Jamal Williams has been going off, and Jared Goff's in the middle of it all somehow. Don't know how that's going on, but their defense is absolutely abysmal. So they're the number one scoring offense, and then whoever plays against them is also just putting up massive points. So the Seahawks beat them 38-35 last week in a crazy matchup there. So I don't trust Detroit to win at all. I don't trust them to even cover the over here against a Bill Belichick-led New England Patriots either. They're going to be all over the place. They have a backup quarterback. That's the only thing that kind of made me lean away from them. So they're either going to be riding Brian Hoyer, or Bailey Zappi. So they're just going to be game managing, but they have two good running backs there. They're going to be running the ball the whole time with Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris, and they're going to be able to do it because the Lions are not a good defense. So I'm looking probably to play the under on that one, and a low scoring like 13-6 game probably for the Patriots. I think the Detroit offense is going to come back down to earth. Not going to lie. Shouts out to Paul.
Shouts out to Paul.
So there we are, our 14 games. We'll post them online so you can play them along there as well. If you look in our bios on our social medias, we have a link to a spreadsheet where I track all the gambling, track all the draft picks. You can play along, see what we're doing. You can see all of our plays, the results of our plays, the units up and down, everything wagered there. So you can come along, play along with us there as well. So that was all that we had for this week. That's all that I had for this week. Follow along our YouTube series here for our draft battles, head-to-head draft battles, or should I say Shed2Ed draft battles. Tune in on Sunday morning when I post the NFL picks, and we'll see if we go positive here again this week.
Let's go, baby. First MMA, then NFL. We'll see y'all at Shed2Ed episode 2200 one day. Let's go, baby.
Let's go.